Welcome back to the show.
Welcome back to the show.
You know, the custody. God, I can't believe we're saying this. I mean, what do you drop that suitcase with as a big chicken nugget? If you want to go ahead and make it right for Dominic, since he likes chicken nuggets or whatever, he has got to be the most
briefcase full of chicken fingers.
Yeah, there you go.
And then that's when I found ECW, and RVD changed my life. I actually saw a clip of the Van Terminator, and I remember the hype going into, I think it was like 2000. I remember the hype going into a heat wave that RVD created this new move, and it did not disappoint. It was amazing. and the Van Terminator alone was the reason why I actually pursued professional wrestling.
Just, it blows my mind. And I'm like tugging on my mom's pants and stuff, and I'm like, Mom. And she's like, yeah, what? And I go, I want to do that. And I'm like pointing at the TV. Well, she looks and she goes, oh, you want to be like Macho Man and wear the cool sunglasses and say, oh, yeah, and do the elbow drop? And I go, no, I want to be the guy throwing snakes at people.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't want to go through a table.
No, and we appreciate Low Pies Pizza and Durham Remodeling and Ryan Allison Tattoo. And Jared Zook, you can protect all of us anytime, baby. Country Financial for the win.
And now, your hosts of the Card Subject to Change podcast, the For Frequency's Sake Tag Team Champions of the World, the Wizard CZ, and Never Wrong Nick Bull.
Hey, when you got an intro so nice to a show, you got to play it twice. Hello, one
Indeed.
and all, and welcome to another exciting edition of the Card Subject to Change podcast, the podcast by the fan, for the fan. Of course, I'm your host, Never Wrong, Nick Bull. Joining me is my co-host, my tag team partner for the For Frequency's Sake Network and for this show. We are the co-champs of the network, and we still defend those titles to this day. It's the Wizard CZ. Wiz, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Technical issues aside, I played the show. I started the live broadcast. I got a warning that our Twitter feed was not going live, so I just tried to remove it off the broadcast, and then everything crashed for me. So, well, we were just.
If you're here, you're truly a fan of the show, and you stuck through it, and we're glad you're here. We're also glad you're here because we are going to be discussing all things AEW All In. Man, I'm telling you what right now, I am a big fan of these afternoon pay-per-views. It makes our life a little bit easier. We notoriously, ceremoniously try to schedule our recording or try to do this show on 6:30 on Sunday nights. And when you've got a noon pay-per-view because it's in London and it's done by a little after 4, was that what it was done? It was really good. I love these afternoon shows. Of course, we've got Bash in Berlin coming up, but this show is all about AEW. And I just want to put it out there. AEW put on a Mania-esque show today. And what I mean by that is the matches, the card, the presentation, everything with the show was excellent. And I just want to put it out there. I know we rain on AEW a lot on here, but that was a Mania-esque show and definitely had a big show vibe coming out of it.
I completely agree. I mean, usually we'll rag on Tony Khan and AEW for these long-winded, overdrawn-out pay-per-views with 9 million matches. And I don't know if it was the afternoon aspect of it or the card itself, but this did not feel like an over 4-hour pay-per-view to me. It breezed by.
It did. The pacing of it was very good. I remember at some point we watched it here at the Highview Lounge where I'm recording the show from. CZ was here early. We had a group of friends over watching it. And it just seemed like the first half of the show flew. We're like, we've only got 4 matches left and there's 2 hours to fill. And it's just like, well, how are they going to do this? But they knocked it out of the park. There were a couple of big returns we'll talk about for sure during the show. All in all, the card delivered. It was great. I can't wait to go back and watch certain parts of it that I kind of forgot about that happened that I've read about since. But watched the whole show. I absolutely loved it. I think it's AEW's pay-per-view of the year. I think it's their show of the year. Be interesting to see how they can turn around a pay-per-view. Last year, they just had a week between All In and All Out from London to Chicago. This week, they're backed up All Out another week, so it's going to be 2 weeks now. So I guess they've got a little bit more time to build. But that's All Out. Let's talk All In. And when you go back and look at this show, CZ, because you watched it, you were live with me, what's going to stick out to you the most when you hear All In 2024? What are you going to remember the most? What's going to stick out to you the most when you hear this show or go back and watch it?
Honestly, I think there are going to be two things that stand out really well, and we'll discuss them in full as we go through, but gotta be the two matches that I was looking forward to the most, and I think you were as well, and that would be Will Ospreay versus MJF, Bryan Danielson versus Swerve Strickland. Those two matches, the emotion, the drama, the matches themselves just delivered in droves, in my opinion.
Yeah. So many times we get a matchup on paper and we get a matchup on a card and you wonder, man, this really has all the makings of hitting it out of the park. Are they going to be able to do everything right? Are they going to have the build right? The promos leading up to it. After that promo the other night, that interaction that Will Ospreay and MJF had, that sold me. I mean, I was looking forward to already, don't get me wrong, but that sold me as being the match on the card that I wanted to see. I was tuned in specifically for that match. MJF Ospreay was like the match I wanted to see the most. I wanted to see Swerve and Bryan Danielson. That was probably the second match I wanted to see the most. But they were great. They were great. They delivered. And so oftentimes, man, we get the hype, we get the build, or we get the match, we get the build, the hype. The match was good, not great. And then we're left wondering afterwards, well, what if? I don't think we're left wondering what if after particularly those two matches. Maybe some other matches on the card, but the two biggest matches on the card absolutely delivered.
Oh, for sure. This whole show, top to bottom, there were a couple matches that you and I are going to probably poo-poo on a little bit just because of our tastes and our opinions. And of course, this is our opinions, and you are welcome to leave your own in the comments here at the Card Subject to Change podcast. We love interactions. And we are powered by Lopez Pizza, built by Durham Remodeling, colored by Ryan Allison Tattoo, and protected by Jared Zook of Country Financial. Of course, being the podcast by the fans for the fans. Bring your opinions in. We love to hear from you. Leave your comments. Send us messages. Tell us we suck at our opinions, but don't tell us we suck if you don't mean it, please. But the show started off pretty hot. I texted you last night or this morning, I don't remember, sometime in the last 24 hours, and I said, are they really having a 12-man 4-team cluster ladder match?
Hey, this is the way you got to look at it. Yes, it seems like a cluster, but you're getting 12 guys on the card instead of having just maybe 2 guys on the card. I'm all for getting everybody on the card if it's within context and makes sense. This was fine. This was the trios title ladder match. Makes sense to have it first.
Yep.
A lot of moving parts with this. They were smart with their time, and maybe, hey, somebody got in their ear and told them they need to manage their pay-per-view time better because they were smart in their time. And props to them for doing this, for having the entrances of this match on the 0 hour. They were smart by cutting out, probably saving a good 5 to 10 minutes of precious pay-per-view time by having the entrances for this match on the 0 hour. So as soon as the pay-per-view started, boom, all 12 men are out there. Let's get the show going. The crowd was ready. And I thought it was a great way to start the show. You always hold your breath when you got 12 guys out there. So much can go wrong, but so much can go right. And, you know, all three teams out there. Let's see if I can remember all of them. It's been a whirlwind of the afternoon. We had the House of Black.
4 teams.
All 4 teams. House of Black, Malachi, Brody, Buddy. Okay. We had the Patriarchy with Christian, Killswitch, Nick Wayne, correct? We had the Bang Bang Gang and Mama Wayne.
Going into this, Mama Wayne was considered one of the
we had
the trios
the Bang
champions.
Bang Gang with Juice Robinson and the Gun Club, Austin and Colton. And then last night on Collision, we had our last team was revealed to us, the unlikely working relationship of Pac and 2 members of the BCC, Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Udis. Bam. I got all 12 entrants in this match.
Good job.
Thank you. I can't believe I remembered it, to be honest with you. I don't know if I'll remember the match card order, but I remember everybody in that match. There's a lot going on in this match. It's the opener.
Oh, yeah.
Tables. There's ladders. There's chairs, of course. Maybe some Axe body spray. We aren't sure what Mama Wayne was getting sprayed with. We thought since it was Christian, it was Axe body spray. But what were you thinking as this first match was going on?
Well, I know you and I, whenever we talk about a ladder match in AEW with multiple people, our first question is who's going to die? And we mean that in the nicest way possible.
We do. Who's going to take the brunt? You know, we couldn't say Darby Allin because he had his own match later. So we knew Darby Allin was safe in this match. But you're right. We kind of do. We do worry. And I think that's always come up since that Ring of Honor show when Dante Martin ankle, that bad injury. You're always wondering, like, who's going to blow up in this match? And for the most part, this was pretty, there wasn't really too much over the top. It was a good ladder match. Don't get me wrong. There wasn't too much over the top where you thought someone was going to die. It was in pretty good control. There was a good spot to the outside where Nick Wayne gave, who did Nick Wayne? I think he gave it to Malachi Black, the destroyer through the table. And I'm not a big destroyer fan, but that variation where you're flying through the ring, going out, flip, I kind of gave him credit for it. You know, I didn't deduct any points. But whoever won this match to me did not matter. I kind of thought by hook or crook, it would have been Christian and the Patriarchy just to continue their role of kind of being that top heel group, that top heel on Collision. But it was to no avail as we got a different winner. And I think everybody was kind of genuinely surprised by who won.
Yes. I was expecting the Patriarchy to come away with the win, but that bastard Pac just had to get up there and claim the belts. I don't know if you feel the same way, Nick. I was a little surprised that it was just one belt for the win, because usually when you see a tag team or trios match with a ladder involved, all 3 belts have to come off of that pole.
Yeah, I wonder if they did that for time's sake and just for the sake of first one to get it. I mean, yeah, I know what you mean. In a tag, you have to get both. Maybe they thought with the trios it'd be more time, more struggle, more awkwardness at the top of the ladder, as there sometimes is, depending on how tired you are, how wobbly the ring is the ladder, station. I get it. If you want to pick apart stuff, I could get that, but that didn't bother me as much. The first thing I thought of in my mind was, wow, Pac is now a trios champion, which means the trios belts won't get defended at All Out because Pac had a built-in match already for All Out with the winner of MJF, Will Ospreay, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. So that's the first thing I thought. I'm like, the trios belts aren't going to be at All Out. Not necessarily. I'm not saying that's a bad thing or a good thing, but now you have Pac, who has had this relationship with Claudio Castagnoli. They haven't really gotten along in the past. They haven't seen eye to eye. And that's not a height joke, even though Claudio is much taller than Pac, and Pac is short. But I thought it was great that Pac, who did not get to appear on last year's All-In show, was able to appear on this one and have a big Wembley memory and in his homeland. And props to we don't call them BCC, I guess Pac and BCC for winning the kickoff match to All In, this trios 4-way for the trios titles in the ladder match. So your new champs, a lot of new champs on this card, by the way, a lot of new champs crowd. We heard and knew a lot today. That might be maybe that should have been the name of the show besides Last Chance in London. And
well, how were you to know though going in?
I know, right? We didn't. We thought some stuff would happen. A lot of titles change hands, and we'll talk more about that throughout the show. But Pac and the BCC are your trios champs after the opening match.
Nick, let me ask you something. I don't know if you feel the same way, but you've got Pac, you've got the Blackpool Combat Club. I think Pac fits right in with those boys, don't you?
I do too. It's a matter of him and Claudio can put their things aside. I guess for some reason they've never really gotten along over the years. They've had a couple matches where you can tell they're not really too fond of each other. But he kind of slides right into it. We've had a noticeable absence of Mox lately. We haven't seen Mox for quite some time. I know they probably gave him some time off. He was working a hell of a schedule. We haven't seen him on TV for quite some time. I wonder if we'll see him on Wednesday night to maybe come out and talk to these guys after winning their championship. But yeah, I like the combination of Pac working with these guys. Now the Death Triangle's kind of probably no more with talk of the Lucha Brothers leaving AEW and possibly showing up in WWE. I guess he needed new allies of some sort or a new pairing of some sort. So they pair him with the BCC and it seems to fit. I don't have a problem with it one bit.
I kind of liken the whole relationship between Pac and Claudio to Danielson and Mox. Honestly, if you go back a few years when William Regal first appeared on the scene, it was after a match where Danielson and Jon Moxley beat the crap out of each other. And we're still going after the Pac. And it was William Regal who came in and just slapped some sense literally into both of them.
Sure. And maybe these two will get along. Maybe they will. We'll have to see on Wednesday night when we tune in. But will they be on Saturday night? I guess we'll have to wait for both Dynamite and Collision this week after such a stellar show that AEW put on.
Yeah, definitely destination television this week for AEW after this card.
For sure.
I was a little surprised with the next match, at least in the order that the match came. Next on the card was Mariah May taking on Timeless Toni Storm for the Women's Championship. I think going into this, most of us knew where this was going to go, but getting there was the entertaining part. But the fact that it came on second, at the beginning of the night the beginning of the afternoon, it came on second. We're like, whoa, this is happening already. But after you see how the card stacked, it kind of makes sense to me.
Makes absolute sense why it was here. When you see how the matches were later and where it would have been, this match would not have been the same if it was later. This match was in the perfect spot, and you'll find out why later. But props to AEW. This was probably their best story, their best example of long-term storytelling. They could hand into a professor and be like, look, see, we can do this too. And they can. They really can do it. I think from the get-go, from the day they signed Mariah May, this was the plan all along. I don't think anything changed. We're going to bring you in. You're going to be this starlet's assistant. You're going to grow jealous. She's going to have a broken heart when you leave. It was perfection. It was excellent. These women put on an excellent match. These women told an excellent story. And I guess it kind of continues. It's not over. No. Maybe this is just the beginning. We hear the famous Paul Heyman always saying the bloodline line is only in the third inning, but this is long from being over. You get Mariah May, who was a star in Stardom, and I wondered how they were going to showcase her in this feud, but they did a really good job of bringing her along first as the hungry fan, and then turning her into the jealous star has just been chef's kiss. It's been perfection.
I was waiting for you to say that.
It was. It really is. Were you waiting for me to say chef's kiss perfection?
Yes, I was. Yes, I was.
Am I that predictable?
Not at all. That's just one of your go-to lines. And if
it
you hadn't
it really is.
I was going to say it for you.
It really is, because I feel the knock against AEW is they don't have good stories. They don't develop people along like this. And this is the case. This is the case where you can say, no, AEW can do it. And hopefully this is not the only time we see it. Hopefully it continues. This was great storytelling between Toni Storm, Mariah May. It was perfection. It was great. And the match was good. The match delivered. The match delivered more so than the other women's match on the card, which we'll talk about later. Like, I'm glad this match was where it was now, looking back on it. It got time to breathe. It got time to be itself. It really wasn't scooting along to fit into the rest of the card. We talked about match times, I think, when you were still here at the High View with everybody else, and the matches seemed to be about the right length. Nothing really went over too much. We'll talk about later about a match that maybe did here on the show, but right now I'm giving my accolades to Toni Storm, to Mariah May, to AEW, and to all those involved with this story, the booking of it, and how it went off. It was perfection at All In with Toni Storm and Mariah May, in my opinion.
Beautifully put together match, greatly told story. I can't pick apart anything about this. It was just well done all around. Now, Nick, if you'll excuse me, I have to go to the bathroom. I think you might have to.
No. Well, what's the next match? And then we'll see.
I think you know what the next match is.
I do.
Hi, guys!
Wait a second. Let's tell a little backstory here. Every show, and pardon my language here, every show you watch, I'm talking pay-per-view, premium live event, has what is affectionately known to men wrestling fans as the piss break match, right? That match that you don't care what happens, because doing number one or number two, whatever you got to do, is more important than that match and the package they're showing before it and the match itself. Yeah, I think our friend Stryker shared some pictures with us from Wembley. I think this was the piss break for a lot of people, not just people here at my house watching the show like we were earlier, but I think for a lot of fans in Wembley, this was the quintessential piss match on the card. Of course, we're talking about the FTW World Championship. I can't believe that, like, a belt at ECW, it was kind of a joke in ECW. Everybody knew it as Taz's belt that he created because the championship wasn't getting defended. They were keeping Shane Douglas and Taz apart. The belt that he invented is still relevant today, and I can't believe how relevant it's been in AEW, but of course, it's the FTW title. Your current champ, Chris Jericho, against, of course, the son of Taz, Hook. Now, listen. I'm gonna tell you why this is my piss break match. Okay,
Here we go.
You can chime in however you want. This is the reason this is my piss break match. If I were to tell you that today's match was the 5th time they had wrestled on pay-per-view in some capacity against each other this year, would you have believed it?
No, not if I didn't know it was true.
5th time. I'm counting tag matches, scramble matches, one-on-one matches. This is their 5th match on pay-per-view. Not together. They've had other stuff on TV, but their 5th match on pay-per-view. Jericho's an all-timer. Maybe an all-time top 10 wrestler when we're all said and done. This gimmick seems to be working for him. The learning tree, people, it's kind of gotten over. It doesn't do anything for me.
Really, you don't get excited when he comes out and goes, "Hey guys!"
It's hard for me to suspend disbelief enough for Hook as well. Hook's definitely not his dad, Taz. The way Taz was portrayed, booked, talked about, featured was one thing, and I just don't see it with Hook. I just don't see it with Hook. So that's the reason why this match was my piss break match. Now, did I miss the whole match? No. I got back and seen the whole thing. But this was the match on the card going in that I could have done without on the card. And it wasn't that bad. It was fine. But it was still my piss break match.
You know, I look at this match and you're right. I can't suspend disbelief for Hook. They're trying to make him into what he is, essentially Taz Jr., but he is not his father by any way you shape it. He is not Taz, and they are trying to build him like he is, like the second coming. It just doesn't work for me. You know more than anyone. I love Jericho. I'm a huge Jericho fan. I have been forever. And this gimmick is getting over, yes, but it's cringy. It's the cringe that's getting it over, and it's time to let it go. It's time for Jericho to let go, retire. I think maybe it's time for him to let it all just be a mentor is the capacity I see him moving into.
Yeah, I don't know if this is like his last great heel run. I don't know if he's got like one more good run in him. What I hope they retire is the FTW belt after this match. We don't need any more title belts in All Elite Wrestling.
Well, considering there's 300 already, yeah, we definitely don't need that extra one.
Right. But as much as I didn't want to see this match or didn't care about this match, it was fine. Thought it did what it was supposed to do. I thought the excessiveness of the learning tree, Big Bill, and the bounty hunter, Keith. Is it Keith Lee?
The Bad Apple.
Brian.
Brian Lee.
Brian. Keith
Bad
Lee.
Apple.
Keith Lee. Give me a break. The Bad App. I thought their involvement in this match was a little much at times. Like, for the longest time, it was 3-on-1, and like no one was going to step up and help help Hook. Of course, by the end of the match, we get Taz to step out from behind the announce booth and to choke out. Was it Big Bill or was it the bounty hunter?
It was the bounty hunter.
It was the bounty hunter
Lee.
Because, of course,
Brian
Hook
Keith.
had a hold of Jericho. Simultaneous submission moves, and Hook is your new FTW champion. I believe it's his third reign with the belt. So we'll see if he retires it or if he keeps it. But for being the piss break match, it wasn't all that bad.
No. I know you're going to have a lot to say about the next match. And I want to talk about that match before we go into the break, because that'll put us about halfway through the main card. I'm talking about the tag team triple threat match. I'm just going to start. You said it while we were all sitting together. I'm going to say it now. Any tag team triple threat match, one member of each team should be in the ring at all times. Not one team is sitting with their thumb up their ass waiting for a tag. Because why would you tag out? You said it best. Why would you tag out? I don't like the way they do triple threat tag team matches, and it's not just AEW. I've seen it done similarly in WWE and other places. I don't have an issue with triple threat matches as a whole, but the triple threat tag team, you got to do it the right way, and this was not done the right way as far as the way the match was set up, in my opinion.
I got issue with triple threat tag matches. The only caveat being if it's a ladder match, then everybody's kind of involved in there. But like, I would never tag out. I would only tag my partner. I just don't like the triple threat. I don't like the triple threat in tag team. I also didn't like the result, but y'all know I'm not a Young Bucks fan. But really, I really don't get it when they've defended the belts now twice since April.
And it'll probably be April before they defend it again.
What did this match do for the AEW tag division? That's kind of what I was thinking about before we went live here. What question can I bring up to the show is, what does this tag match do for the division? Okay. The Bucks retain. So FTR and Acclaimed lose. Who's the next tag team to step up?
Are you asking me?
I'm
'Cause I
asking
don't have an
you.
answer.
I'm
I
asking
don't have an
you.
answer.
Exactly. Like I thought this match didn't do anything for their tag division. They haven't done anything as champions with the tag belts. They've been doing this evil EVP gimmick with Okada, with Jack Perry, but they haven't defended the tag belts. They've defended them twice, and now they beat the two best teams that could come after them. Now what?
Can I
Now
give you,
what's going to happen?
my opinion?
I think it's
Not
going to be the Acclaimed. I think the Acclaimed and the Bucks are going to have a thing after what happened after
so.
the match. What were you going to say?
I can see that. I don't think they not only beat the two best tag teams other than the Bucks in AEW, I think they completely shit all over them. I really do. I mean, okay.
No,
I'm not a fan
ears.
of the Bucks. I'm not a fan of the Bucks. Never have been. This EVP overuse of power gimmick is getting very old to me. But I'm also not. How do I put this? The Acclaimed and FTR are not. They're in my top 10, I would say, of current tag teams. FTR might hit the top 5, but okay, they probably hit the top 5, but I'm not going out of my way like you are to watch their matches whenever I get them. I love their matches. They're entertaining. The Acclaimed, the whole scissor me gimmick that's been going on for 2 years now, it's fun. I enjoy watching both teams. But I look at this match and I see the teams that are involved, and my first thought is, okay, the Acclaimed are only there to take the fall. One of the Acclaimed, either Caster or Bowens, is getting pinned. And then they put the pin on Dax Harwood. That to me is just like not only shitting on FTR, but wiping your ass with them as well. I'm sorry, that's my opinion. If you don't like it, well, I don't care. I mean, I care, but
I just the match kind of ended abruptly. There wasn't kind of a big ending, you know. They just did their thing in the ring and then pinned them. Yeah, I mean, I can justifiably say as an FTR fan, I'm disappointed. I didn't think they were going over. I thought maybe the Acclaim would sneak out a win. But now we have something to look forward to because we get our first of many debuts or appearances, because this team has wrestled FTR on Collision before that showed up at the end of the match. So I don't know if we can actually say it's a debut because they've been on AEW television before. I'm talking about the grizzled young veterans. They've been all over the indies. They've been in WWE, wrestled New Japan, and now it looks like they're going to be in AEW. Looks like they've signed maybe with AEW, and they're going to start a feud with FTR because they jumped Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler post-match, and maybe that's the next feud for FTR. That's fine. I'd like to see both those teams go at it. And if the Acclaim get a rematch or some sort with the Young Bucks, that's great. But I guess my focus now is set on, okay, now we have another team in the AEW tag division. Let's go out there and have some good tag team matches, and let's see who's going to take the belts off the Bucks.
Yeah.
But right now, sign me up for FTR and the Grizzled Young Veterans. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to that.
I really love the Grizzled Young Veterans coming into AEW. I felt when they're towards the end of their time in NXT, they were very prominent in NXT UK, which I wasn't following closely, but I was still following. When NXT UK got dissolved and most of the roster came over to NXT itself, they kind of got swept under the rug, in my opinion, with the whole schism thing. No offense to Joe Gacy and that faction. They did a decent job, but they felt like they were playing a second fiddle. And putting them in a feud with FTR right off the bat, is only going to raise their value, in my opinion. It's going to bring them up, and I think it's going to put a fourth player in the game, because we're talking about the AEW tag division as being quite kind of weak right now.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
I
Adding
mean,
the Grizzly Young veterans makes them deeper for sure.
And you look around, and sure, you have some other potential tag teams out there. I mean, you've got the Guns, but they're tied up with the trios in the trios picture.
Yep.
You've got the House of Black, again, tied up in the trios picture. But you've got some potential tag teams. They're just not being utilized as a tag team right now. For sure. You've kind of, since adding those trios belts, you've kind of weakened your tag team division by taking some tag teams and adding a member to them and making them trios. But yeah, hopefully this is a move in the right direction by getting the Grizzled Young Veterans in there. Let's make a tag division stronger than what it was, and they're doing so by adding them. They're adding some depth. Now we have a possibility of all these different fresh matchups that we can get down the road, and hopefully it's the first ones in 2 weeks at All Out for FTR and the Grizzled Young Vets. That's unofficial. That's kind of just what I'm hoping for. We probably should take a break here. You're listening to the Card Subject Exchange podcast by the fan for the fan. We are powered by Low Pies Pizza, built by Durham Remodeling, colored by Ryan Allison Tattoo, and protected by Jared Zuka Country Financial. I'm never wrong, Nick Bull. He's the Wizard CZ. And we'll be back to talk more All In from Wembley this afternoon on the other side of this break. Don't go away.
For frequency's sake has you covered on all things sports. From the squared circle to the hardwood and the gridiron to the speedway, we've got something for everyone. Walk down the aisle with the boys from Card Subject to Change every Sunday as they take a deep dive into everything pro wrestling. Head on over to the hardwood with Doug Green and Watching the W each week for all the news from the WNBA. Want more insight from Pit Row? Check out the Green, White, and Checkered podcast where they give their insight on everything happening on and off the track. Need your gambling fix? We've got you there. Dan Hancock and Gotham Gambling will help you cover the spread with the Golden Ticket Show. Football more your style? Explore the waters of NFL DFS with DFS Deep Dive with Brian Craighead and Jordan Kernan each week. More into the science portion of the game? The Professor John Bush and Dennis Michelson take you into their science lab and dissect your week in the data lab. Need to know who to start last minute? The network's flagship show, For Fantasy's Sake, is here in a pinch. The fellas come to you live every football Sunday from 10 to 11:30 Central with the week's best DFS, gambling, and lineup advice. And wrap up your Sundays with Joe Winkle and Nick Brinks as they come to you live with educated ignorance, looking at all the day's action. Not enough football on Sunday? Not a problem. Kick your feet up at lunch on Monday and slip into the football lounge with Mark and Dan while they look at the week that was in news, notes, and more. For frequency's sake, you know what we mean.
Welcome back to the show.
Welcome back. We are talking, of course, about AEW's All In pay-per-view from London, England this afternoon as we record this.
But first, Nick, we've got to do something very important.
Oh, well, you got to focus, don't we?
We do have to focus.
All right. Fair enough.
All right. Here is JT Energy, our weekly guest, our weekly comrade with a moment of focus.
Welcome to a moment of focus with the feline phenom, JT Energy. And this week, the boys from Card Subject to Change podcast that hopefully you're listening to or watching are covering AEW All In. From Wembley Stadium, 50,000 plus fans cheering on some pro wrestling. And what should we focus on today? You know what we should focus on? Being all in ourselves. In any aspect of your life that you've been thinking, I need to go for it. You can't go for it to its full extent unless you go all in. So look inside yourself. No more excuses. Find what you need to do and go all in. This has been a moment of focus with the feline phenom, JT Energy.
Always some great advice from our good friend.
He's always on point with his advice, and I love how he does this. And like the graphic comes up, I got to talk to him about how he does that. We got to get that. We got to do that too. I want to be able to. And the graphic comes up. Perfect.
Just a little snap of the fingers. Before we go any further, Nick, I want to give a shout out to our good friend Joe Winkle. He was with us watching the show today. He would have been part of our broadcast tonight, but had prior obligations. But yeah, I remember. So I remember. It's been a week. We got an updated promo with the football season coming up for our flagship show and other great programming on the network. But the commercial used to say, if you're missing Joe Winkle, probably not.
Probably not.
We definitely are today. Love Joe Winkle. Want to give him a shout out. Thanks for joining us for watching the show. And I'm sorry you can't be here, but Joe will be back with us with some of his expert commentary in the near future. We're going to work something out to bring him back on for sure.
Absolutely. And I know Joe's probably kicking himself that he has other stuff going on because he really wanted to talk about this show. But glad that he was able to come out here and watch it and experience it. And we'll get Joe on in the very near future. Don't worry, fans, to get on here and talk wrestling, of course.
Now, coming up on the next match of the card, this was full of epic surprises, epic debuts, epic returns. This was a fun match, and I'm talking about the Casino Gauntlet match. Yeah. Before we talk about the returns in the match, Nick, this is not your typical kind of gauntlet match. So the winner gets a title shot any time of their choosing. They get a contract for an AEW World Championship. So this match kind of equates like if you mix the Royal Rumble with the Money in the Bank, in my opinion. It's not exactly that, but that's the best way to describe the concept. Because you have people coming into the ring at random intervals, and the prize at the end is getting that contract for that title shot.
Yeah, the title shot's not hanging. You've got guys coming in at random intervals, but the magic of this match is it can end at any time. So you're not sure how many people are going to be involved. You don't know how long the match is going to be. And kind of like the Rumble, you're getting returns, debuts, but you're also getting matchups in the ring you may not have ever gotten before and are teasing you for the future. Like, oh, okay, I could see us going this way, or I could see them going this way. So the match starting with Orange Cassidy, who won that right a couple weeks back on Dynamite to become the first member in the match. And you want to be in there because, as they said, the match can end at any time. We didn't know who would be second, but the crowd was treated to a surprise of sorts and a matchup. I don't know if they've ever faced each other before. And that's Orange Cassidy and Okada.
Yes.
I don't think they've faced each other before.
I don't know that they have. I can't think of a time off the top of my head. Okada held. He has a championship right now, right? One of the 9 million. That
he is
AEW
the Continental champion. Which that belt only means one thing: if you have it, and the Continental Classic is starting back up, you get an automatic berth in it. But that's pretty much all that belt means. Essentially, I mean, he did defend it the other night against Claudio Castagnoli in a pretty good match. But here he is in this match trying to go after a world title shot, and he starts off the gauntlet with Orange Cassidy.
Very unique dynamic between
this. Will probably be the first match. There was a good day. This will probably be the first match I go back and watch from start to finish to watch all the surprises because there was plenty of them.
Oh, yes.
Big surprises. In fact, yours truly came out of the chair and did a couple fist bumps because I was so shocked at one of the surprises. But I'll let you go ahead and talk about that.
Oh, man. So many good surprises here. I don't even know where to start. So you had your standard AEW stars. Just to go down the list, Christian Cage, after unsuccessfully defending the trios titles, came back as part of this match. You have Kazuchika Okada, Orange Cassidy, Kyle O'Reilly, Roderick Strong, Mark Briscoe, Hangman Adam Page, and Jeff Jarrett. And of course, you also had Killswitch coming in at the end. We'll get to that in a minute. I think there were 3 other names in this match, and they were big time names. First of all, let's talk about Mr. I just won the G1, Mr. Zack Sabre Jr.
Yeah, a great surprise. The guy who just won the G1 and a title shot in New Japan. Hey, trying to win a title shot in AEW. We've seen him before at AEW at the Forbidden Door events. But this is the first time we've seen him since the last Forbidden Door and since he's won the G1. So he came out in his home country to a big pop. The crowd loved it. I think everybody in the room loved seeing Zack Sabre Jr. The guy doesn't put on a bad match. So having him as a part of this, that big pop and that big surprise definitely added to the allure and the mystique of this match.
For sure. And I've always been a fan of Zack Sabre Jr. I love his in-ring work. I think it's brilliant. Well-deserved winning the G1 and a good spot in this match. Brought a lot of more interesting dynamics to this overloaded crowd of wrestlers here, but that didn't take away the overloaded crowd of wrestlers did not take away from this match being fantastic and one of the best on the card. I'm going to let you talk about the last one, but I'll talk about the big surprise, the second big surprise in this match, and that is one AEW debuting Rick O'Shea. RICKO''SHEA. No, I'm kidding.
We knew he was no longer with WWE. The fans anticipated that he had signed with AEW. It was just a question of when he would debut. Wonderful way to debut him. Wonderful way to showcase what he is able to do. And I hope for Ricochet's, I hope for him they find a more useful spot for him here than they did in WWE. Granted, he was severely underused in WWE. I think he could have been showcased more. You've seen clips of what he can do. You've seen his matches that he did have in WWE. He doesn't disappoint. He's a unique athlete. I think maybe he lacks in the promo game, but that's always something that can be worked on. But Ricochet's debut was definitely welcome with open arms, I think, by everybody there in that locker room, all the fans. And he definitely left his mark on this match, made a big impact, did not win the match, but still was able to go out there and kind of give you a sampling of what he is capable of. And, of course, our friend Big Don, who's a Ricochet mark, absolutely marked out here at the party. So that was always that was great to see. I was waiting for that, and I'm glad Big Don did not disappoint.
Big pop at the Highview, big pop when he came out in Wembley Stadium. The crowd wanted it, the crowd needed it, and they got it, and they loved it. And
they absolutely did.
Now I'm going to let you talk about the last surprise because this is I know you want to because this is your guy.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If you want to talk about it, that's fine. I'll say whatever, but for sure. I mean,
all right. How about this? We'll not talk. We won't talk about it. We'll just go on to the next match.
What's that?
I said we're just going to go on to the next match. We won't talk about it.
Oh, I think you got to talk about
it. Oh man, longtime enemy to that clam digger Danielson, coming back for what I'm going to say is probably going to be a one-off, but we'll see. One of the best Ring of Honor champions since Ring of Honor's inception, in my opinion, and that is one Nigel McGuinness. And I know Nigel is Nick's boy. I love Nigel on commentary. I loved his work in the ring. Nick, I'm going to let you just gush.
God, it's great when pro wrestling takes you back to being a kid again. And that's what happened with me today. Nigel was the third person in. So after Okada, he was the first entrant to come out. And the crowd absolutely lost it. You couldn't hear the music, but when they went to the angle of the long shot at the aisle and you saw the Titantron and the name, you're like, no way. What? How did they pull this off? This is a guy who hasn't wrestled since 2011. He's 48 years old. He looks great. He's been taking care of himself. He said recently he just got back in the ring, started bumping a little bit. But to see Nigel McGuinness in the ring again, and if it's once, then so be it. But it was awesome to see him in a ring. He's my all-time favorite Ring of Honor performer. He was great as Ring of Honor champion. I know he had some time in TNA, but he wasn't there very long before he was unable to wrestle anymore. I love that he is an announcer on Collision. I love that his hate for Bryan Danielson still exists in this commentary. He's great. He's a great heel announcer. And for him to get that response, to be able to wrestle in his home country at Wembley in front of everybody, and even if it's just a one-off, it was enough for me. It got me out of my chair, and I was hooting and hollering and going nuts. I, as they say, marked out, and justifiably so. I will not hide it. I will admit it. I love Nigel McGuinness, and that moment was just freaking awesomeness for me. It was great. It was freaking great.
I remember you looked back at me and your jaw was just on the ground. You were like, it was very much a holy shit moment for you.
It was. It was. Never did I think I'd see him back in a ring, and for it to be here and then tease you that he might win a world title shot. It's like, it was too much for me, but realizing he probably wasn't going to win, it was still awesome to see him out there. And even if it was a one-off, I'm glad I got to witness it and sit here and gush and talk about it. Maybe he's coming back. We don't know. But if it was a one-off, it was great. I loved it, man. It was my moment of the day.
And realistically, it probably is going to end up being a one-off, unfortunately. But the guilty pleasure in me wants to see him win a title again, so I can have him walk out of the ring with the title belt backwards around his waist.
Yes, for sure. But that was memorable. That's part of the reason why I want to go back and watch that gauntlet match, is to see everybody's entrance and see everybody come out. Some great back and forth in this match. CZ listed the names off, but I'll have you wrap it up and talk about the ending to the match, and what you thought about the ending.
So was really surprised by the ending. I think a lot of us were expecting that Hangman Adam Page was going to walk away with the contract for the title.
That was the vibe in the room. That was the vibe.
That it really was. And I don't disagree. I don't argue with that. But seeing Luchasaurus, I'm going to call him Luchasaurus because that's what was on the screen behind him. That's what the commentator said. Luchasaurus comes out and gets in Christian's face, and you're thinking, oh my God, he's finally going to turn and give Christian his comeuppance. Didn't happen. Luchasaurus.
No.
Luchasaurus, or as he is better known now, Killswitch, helped Christian Cage win the contract for the world title at a time of his choosing.
Yeah, especially after how that trios match ended with Christian berating Killswitch in the ring. You're the reason why we lost. You're the reason why this happened. For him to come out and do that was a major swerve. No pun intended. And Killswitch, Luchasaurus, choke slams, and then pretty much drags Christian's dead body, forces him up the ladder where Christian gets the pin, not the ladder match. Forces him onto the body for a 1-2-3 pin. Kind of like, we were all like, what? That's how it's going to end with all those other people out there. You didn't expect Christian to win, but they did it. They did it, and I think it's going to be good. I really do. I think everybody thought Hangman was going to win, maybe cash it in at the main event. of this card, and it wasn't to be. But Christian winning is definitely something no one thought was going to happen. And 2, him having that is great. It's going to be great for promos. He can use it anytime. He's got a gaggle of people to help him with Nick Wayne and now Killswitch Luchasaurus, whatever you want to call it. So it's going to be intriguing. How long he holds on to that, when he's going to use it, I don't know. But sign me up. Christian has been gold since he's been in AEW. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for this, but I wish Nigel would have won.
Well, of course, I wouldn't. Having Nigel come out, that would have been fantastic, doing it in his home country. But Christian Cage winning this match was definitely not on my bingo card this weekend, so I'm taking an L there. But I think, like you said, it's going to be good. It's going to be interesting. Christian definitely is brilliant on the mic, everyone's surrogate father, so to speak. And it'll be interesting to see where this leads, knowing the outcome of the world title match, which we'll get to in a little bit. We've got 4 more matches to talk about. 2 of them are the best matches on the card. 2 of them are not the best matches on the card. Let's talk about, though, one of the better matches, and then we'll kind of hit that dead spot like most pay-per-views do, and then we'll get to the crux of the evening, the main event. Will Ospreay and MJF. Going into this match, they had come off of a 60-minute match, 60-minute time limit match that went to 58 seconds.
59-58.
Yep. MJF, 59-58, yes. With MJF squeaking out the win and changing the International Championship to the American Championship. And I think this was good storytelling. I enjoyed this feud quite a bit. The play with the title. You know, everybody customizes their titles nowadays. Well, not everybody, but you see a lot of custom titles come out every once in a while. MJF did it. Jack Perry's doing it right now. But yeah, this was a fun feud, and this match did not disappoint.
No, as advertised. After that promo the other night on Dynamite, this propelled itself into being the match that I wanted to see. This was the match on the card that I had to see, the one I was looking forward to the most. And you've got such a polarizing wrestler as Will Ospreay, who has won AEW over. He had won the world over already, but has won AEW over with what he can do in the ring, what he can do out of the ring, what he can do in the air. Just off the top of my head, he's probably got the match of the year with Bryan Danielson. Mm-hmm. He also had a match. He was the match of the year last year with Kenny Omega. He just knows what to do. He's an amazing anomaly. And then you add in the best heel in the game right now with Maxwell Jacob Friedman, and you've got magic. MJF has really upped his game, his in-ring game, in my opinion. I always thought, he's always been strong on the mic, and maybe his in-ring work left a little bit to be desired, but no, we can erase that. He is definitely one of the best wrestlers in the world right now. He's that good. He went out there and proved it in Wembley. He's a great storyteller. He's great on the mic. He's good in the ring. This guy's money. And we had the discussion during the match. Who does a loss hurt more? Who does a win hurt more? Now, these guys are both Teflon. They lose this match, I don't think it's really going to hurt them. But in losing this match, Ospreay goes over and wins in Wembley and gets that big moment. Crowd loved it. Everybody's going nuts. Great match. Rightfully so. All I could bear to think about is who's next for MJF. Well, that happened during the match. We get that answer. We get a man dressed in black with a hood who denies MJF the using of the using of brass knuckles, takes the hood off, and it's Daniel Garcia. It was a breath of fresh air for me to see Daniel Garcia. The talk was he wasn't resigning. He was going to go to WWE. Daniel Garcia, there's a void for him to step up and fill. And I think Winkle said this during the show, so I'm going to piggyback off what he said. But Daniel Garcia needs to be that wrestler that goes out there and works stiff and takes the spot of Bryan Danielson on the card for when he retires full time. Daniel Garcia could be that guy. And I like that Winkle said that. I tend to agree. I like that. And I think working with MJF, Garcia is going to be great. And I'm excited now for that feud. Didn't know who MJF be working with next, but it looks like it's going to be Garcia. We know who Ospreay faces next. He's got a shot against Pac at All Out in Chicago in a couple weeks. So this isn't the end of MJF Ospreay. It's the end for now. And I don't think we'll see them in a ring against each other again until one of them's the AEW World Champion, and then we can run this one back. But anytime they want to run this back between these two, I'm in. We got a wonderful match today at All In Wembley. We got the wonderful promo the other night. And we got that match on TV that went 59 minutes and 58 seconds and is probably the best televised match AEW's ever had. So
yes,
there was a lot of good stuff that came out of this. And this match was just the dessert, the icing on the cake. And I hopefully they revisit it down the road. But what an excellent match. If it's not match on the card, it's second best match on the card with a match we've yet to decide. But this match delivered. It was awesome.
And I will say this. I love that they brought back Daniel Garcia. I'm glad he re-signed. He should be in AEW. This is where he needs to be, in my opinion, at least as of right now. But here is my worst fear. You look at so many stars that AEW has just lit a fire under, and they've been swept under the rug. I hope that is not the case for Daniel Garcia. I mean, you look at Wardlow. You look at Ricky Starks, just to name a couple. Those two were at one point in their career were on absolute fire. And where are they? Ricky Starks is now hasn't been seen in ages. And Wardlow, is he still with the Undisputed Kingdom? Did they kick him out? Where is he?
Nobody knows. Nobody knows. I think interjecting him, I'm talking about Garcia now. I think interjecting Garcia into a feud, especially one with MJF, who's red hot, is a step in the right direction. I really do.
I agree.
Hopefully, for Garcia's sake, it works out. It gets him to stick, gets him some momentum, and he's able to flourish more than what he has in All Elite Wrestling so far.
Speaking of flourishing, we're going to transition to Nick's all-time favorite match of the night. his favorite wrestler of all time. That is one Mercedes Moné.
Whose favorite wrestler of all time?
Nick's got the dance moves down. If you're not watching the video, be sure to go to our YouTube page, like, share, subscribe, and check out Nick dancing like Mercedes Moné. But Nick, I'm going to say one thing about this match and one thing only. It lasted 17 minutes and 25 seconds. That was 17 minutes too long.
Yeah, they could have shaved 10 minutes off this. For some reason, I thought, you know what? I'll put my personal biases aside. Not a big Mercedes Moné fan. I wasn't a big fan when she was Sasha Banks either, so it's not an AEW thing. I'll put my biases aside. Hopefully these two ladies can go out there and use the fact that they don't like each other and turning into a good match. And it just seemed like they were both off to me.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know. That's the impression that I get after seeing it one time. Maybe it changes after I go back and watch it a second time, possibly later here tonight. But it just seemed like they were off. Maybe the crowd was a little let down after the MJF Ospreay match, and now you see why Tony Storm and Mariah May was on second, because I think the crowd would have been down for them too. I really do. It's no disrespect to Moné. It's no disrespect to Britt Baker. I think there's more there in the future, but neither one of them had it today, in my opinion. And the crowd not being into it
It hurt it. It hurt the match.
It hurt the match, in my opinion. I thought this match would be so much more, and it was kind of like, I was let down with this match. But it doesn't take away from the excellent pay-per-view that All In put on. If I'm going to complain, this match was probably my biggest complaint outside of the 3-way tag match, because I just thought it was going to be so much better. Really was hyped up for it, and when there's a match where there's legit beef between two people, you usually want to watch it to see how it's going to work in the ring, and then it just, both these ladies had an off day, and I'll just be nice and leave it that way.
Maybe it comes down to they just didn't have the right chemistry tonight. Maybe. I don't think it's the last time we see these two battle either.
There's money to be made there between these two. The promos, the mic time leading up to it was why I wanted to see this match. And I don't know. I need to go back and watch it again. I know that doesn't help with my review of it now, but I think they were just both off and both had an off day, and that's why this match didn't deliver.
Yeah, and that's not negative against either of them. I'm not the biggest fan of either of these wrestlers, but my personal opinions aside, this was a dud of a match. It really, so whatever was lacking, it was blatantly obvious.
For sure. I agree. I thought it was the low point on the card, and not trying to really knock it. I just felt like both women probably weren't on their A game today.
And this match and the next match were in the dead spot of the card. They both fell victim to the dead spot.
Explain to the fan what the dead spot is. I had to explain the piss break match. You explain the dead spot.
So the dead spot is that moment where you come off of a really good match and you're just drained. It's a match or two that's put in its place on purpose to give you a chance to catch your breath. Just a moment to breathe, reflect, and get ready for the main event. Because the dead spot usually comes with one or two matches in between a really good match and the main event, or a really anticipated match and the main event. And that's where these two matches hit. But I'm glad that during this dead spot for both of these matches that neither one of the next competitors died, because they tried to light one of them on fire at the end.
Yeah, we almost got that continuation from that blood and guts match. Of course, we're talking about the TNT title match between the champion, Jack Perry, and the challenger, Darby Allin. This was a coffin match. Coming into this match, Darby Allin was 4-0 in coffin matches. And if you recall, at the end of the blood and guts match that was a few weeks back on Dynamite, Darby Allin doused Jack Perry in gasoline and threatened to set him on fire unless he would oblige to a match at All In. And that's this match we got here.
Mm-hmm.
So the gasoline would pop back up in this match. It's a Darby Allin match. You don't know what to expect. And with the coffin match stipulation added to it, you've got to get your opponent in the coffin completely and close it. You win. You're just waiting for that devastating spot to where a lifeless body is going to get thrown into the coffin. Jack Perry threw the kitchen sink at Darby Allin, tied his hands together with tape, tied his
feet together with tape.
Tied his feet together, threw him off the entrance ramp onto a table 15 feet below. Interesting note, Darby came into this match with thumbtacks glued all over his face as a defense mechanism. I'll give him props. I've never seen that before. That was unique. That was different. Crowd obviously behind Darby. Moment in the match where if you're a wrestling fan and you follow these things, Jack Black dumps a bag of real glass in the ring. Of course, this all stems back to last year, pre-show, 0 hour at All In, when Jack Perry used glass. Punk confronted him. There was a scuffle in the back. It would come full circle. The fans ate it up. They loved it. A wrestling tell to me is, when you just individualize a title belt like Jack Perry did with the TNT, you're not going to lose it. MJF had been the All-American champion for a bit, and lost
and
it.
everybody wanted to see.
Jack Perry just turned that belt into his very own personalized TNT belt. There was some cool stuff in this match. This match, for being only a 10-minute match, a lot of stuff happened. A lot of action. A lot of good storytelling. A lot of spots. But as Jack Perry puts Darby Allin into a body bag and then drags him and throws him into the coffin, he does the running knee to the head. Darby falls down, lid shut, bing, 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 end of the match, right? As soon as the match ends, of course, the crowd's mad that Jack Perry won. Here come those evil EVPs again, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, coming out to the ring, holding what looks to be a metal gallon can of what we're led to believe as gasoline.
Yep.
So what Darby started at Blood and Guts with threatening to set Jack Perry on fire, Jack Perry and the evil EVPs are going to follow through with it here at the culmination of this coffin match.
But they don't get to.
They don't get to. Do you want to know why?
I'll tell you why. Because we had another surprise coming back after his retirement, not to come out of retirement, but to help his good friend and protege, Darby Allin, is one Sting!
And we got Tony Schiavone. It's Sting! Crowd popped. This room popped. This room right here where we're recording this, it popped. We went nuts. It was great to see Sting back. Sting's not going to let his boy Darby Allin get burned alive in the casket. Nuh-uh. Not happening on Sting's watch. I wonder why. I'm glad Sting made the save. It was good to see Sting. It was great to have Sting get that pop in Wembley again. Sting chased off the EVPs, chased off Jack Perry, and was able to recover Darby from the coffin before it was set ablaze. But that, I mean, you're talking a show full of returns and surprises. Mania-esque with the returns and the pops and stuff. I'm just saying, AEW did a wonderful job with this show, and we're not even to the main event yet. One stinker of a match, in my opinion, and we're not even to the main event yet. So a great show all in all. We'll have our letter grades here for you momentarily after we talk about the main event. But, God, it was great to see Sting back. It really was, even though he's retired now, but it's still great to see Sting out there in front of the fans.
Always love seeing Sting whenever he's able to arrive, and that was a great moment in a pay-per-view full of great moments, and they just keep on coming because as we get to the main event of the evening, it is do or die. This is, as the title of the show says, the last chance in London. The American Dragon's potential last stand going into this match. Bryan Danielson, career versus title against Swerve Strickland. And
the question
Danielson
came up.
Really had,
the question came up during our viewing. How did Danielson get this? And we forgot that he had won the Owen Hart the Owen Hart Cup, which gifted him a title shot at Wembley. That's how Mariah May got into the match with Tony Storm. We all kind of forgot about it. Hey, how did he get this title shot? That's how he got this title shot.
Absolutely. And he had his work cut out for him against a very game world champion, Swerve Strickland. This was a banger of a match. This was a hell of a match, but there were many times where it looked like Danielson was going to be retired. After 3 house call kicks to the head, I don't know how he kicked out, but he was able to kick out and retain and remain in the match. And his wife and kids, Bree and Birdie and Buddy, were front row for this match, and Swerve was definitely playing that up. I mean, Swerve was playing the heel in this match, and he's not usually. Right now, his character is not really a heel. He's kind of in between, in my opinion. Wouldn't you say so, Nick?
Yeah, I would say so. Like, coming into this match, if you had to write down on paper, both these guys are face. Swerve has played the part of a face champion. Had that wonderful match against Will Ospreay. Was that at Forbidden Door?
I believe so. Yes.
Okay, when was Daniel Bryan Ospreay?
Oh, I'd have to look. I'd have to look on that one.
Hold on, I'm gonna look. When was Forbidden Door the last show?
Yes. I'm going back.
CZ?
I've got Wiki up right now. Yes. Last show was Forbidden Door.
I got to think that was Ospreay.
Was it a double or nothing?
Swerve on. No. Hold on.
No,
here.
that was a Ospreay and Roderick Strong was a double or nothing.
Forbidden Door was the last show.
Yes.
Forbidden. And it was Swerve beating Will Ospreay.
Yes.
At Forbidden Door. Dynasty, I think, was Ospreay, Daniel Bryan.
Yes, I just actually pulled it up. Dynasty is when Ospreay and Daniel Bryan took place. That was match of the year in both of our opinions so far. But this match with this match with Swerve gave it a run for its money with the emotion involved, with Swerve taunting Bryan Danielson's family. I mean, Birdie was in tears at one point.
Oh, Swerve played it up.
Daughter.
Swerve played it up. The family being ringside is just part of it. It's key. Swerve played it up. Props to Tony K for shelling out the money for the final countdown. That's got to be played now every time when Bryan comes out. You're absolutely right with those 3 house calls that Swerve laid on Danielson. Thought this was over. I thought Bryan would win the match. I had a hard time believing we'd be watching Bryan's last match at All In. I just had a hard time. Not a knock against Swerve, but that's the pick that I made.
Yeah.
Swerve was amazing in this match. There were moments where I'm like, oh my God, Bryan's going to lose. Like, how is he going to kick out of this? But he found a way. This match, and I know it's because of Danielson's involvement, had the WrestleMania 30 feels.
Yes.
With the crowd emotionally involved, the emotion. Like, this was the closest thing that we've had to the yes movement for Bryan Danielson's pop and his cheer than the actual yes movement itself at WrestleMania 30. And that was 11 years ago. This guy is clearly one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. The world recognizes it. It's not just somebody saying it. I mean, it's universally accepted. You really don't hear people argue, oh, he can't wrestle. He's not that good. Like, everybody knows and accepts that he's great. And for him to go out there and do this thing and do this match, he's bleeding, blood on his face most of the match.
Yep.
And when he's no-selling Swerve's kicks in his comeback, and he's looking at his family and telling them he's sorry, I got to do this, I got to do this. And it's magical. It's goosebump worthy. And the fact that he was able to do it his way, the Bryan Danielson way. And Hangman gets involved, but doesn't cost either man the match. Hangman shows up at ringside, irate at Swerve. That's long from over. That's long from over. I think that's the next part for Swerve. Spoiler alert: Bryan Danielson wins, folks. He lives to wrestle another day. We're going to have him for at least another show, another pay-per-view, I'm guessing. Everybody seems to just think out loud that Wrestle Dream will be his last match because it's in Tacoma, near his hometown. That's still a few pay-per-views away. So we've got some Bryan Danielson left. So go out there and enjoy him on this last run.
Yes.
That's going to be my message here as I preach from my pulpit. It's Sunday night and I'm preaching from my pulpit. But go out and enjoy the Bryan Danielson that we have right now. It's great that he's a champ. I think he becomes the second man to be the ROH, the WWE champ, and the AEW champ in history. Did you know that?
I did not. I was going to ask that.
We talked about that. You might have been involved in another conversation here after that show. He becomes the second man. Do you know who the first one was?
I'm drawing a blank, and I probably shouldn't.
You want me to sing it?
Yes.
Look in my eyes, what do you see?
Okay, I should have known that.
The personality. Yep, Punk had won those belts as well, but still an incredible honor to behold. This was an incredible match. Is it the match of the night, CZ? Is it better than Ospreay MJF?
It's really damn close. I can't.
I think with the emotion involved and what's on the line, I think it moves ahead of MJF, Ospreay.
Yeah.
They're
damn close together, though.
They're close. Like, I think those are your two match of the nights. I really do. What do you what I kind of clamored on about this main event. You go ahead. I want to know what you're thinking, what your thought process was during this match, how you seen it going down. Are you happy with how it ended and what this means now for AEW?
I am. I'm very happy with how it ended, and here's why. Bryan Danielson has won a championship, a main championship, every single place he's been, except AEW. I think it would have been a tragedy and an injustice if he had lost this match and retired without winning a championship. Now, I know he's probably backstage. I think I've heard people say he doesn't want the title. He doesn't want it. He wants to focus on other things, which I understand, but it would have been a severe injustice if he had walked away losing this match and not getting a title run in AEW, because it's been deserved forever. If I were booking the next couple of months, the first thing I would do on Wednesday is have the EVPs come out and say, okay, congratulations, you won the title. Next time you lose, you're done. Do like a Ric Flair style retirement back from the build to WrestleMania 24.
I think that's kind of I think everybody's kind of expecting that, right? It's kind of like the assumed way it's going to be, right? I think that's kind of like how we see it being, is that losing, you're retired. Like, you got to win to keep it. You got to win to stay alive.
Yeah.
But continue. I'm sorry.
No, I think the match was well put together. Swerve, I don't know if it was a no-sell or if he backed out before the knee could hit, but there was a moment where Danielson went for the psycho knee and Swerve just stood there and
I think he backed away. I think he backed away and like surprised Daniel, but I don't think he no-sold it. I think it was a back away the more I think about it.
I think so too. I'd have to rewatch it to be sure, but the fact that he backed away and then looked Danielson right in the eye, brushed it off his shoulder, that was just a well-placed moment in my opinion, and it solidified that, hey, Swerve may actually win this and retire the American Dragon. That was one of the solidifying moments where I thought, oh crap.
I know.
This
match was
go
so
home.
well put together.
This whole show
yes,
was well put together.
Very well put together. I gave SummerSlam an A. I'm going to be right close with this one. I'm probably going to give this one an A-.
That's about where I stand as well. About an A-.
I think it's AEW's pay-per-view of the year.
For now.
For now, 2 superb matches, and then some great surprises and other matches sprinkled in. One stinker, in my opinion, but it doesn't bring the weight of what the totality of this show did. This show was amazing.
Very well put together. Very, very fun, entertaining. A-. It hit home. And yeah, I don't think they could have done anything better, honestly. I really don't, unless the Mercedes and Britt Baker match unless they had worked a little better together than they did.
Right.
And who knows? Maybe we'll see them in a better match in the future. That's my hope, anyway.
I hope so. I really do. I hope so. I think we will. This is the first time, and you know what? They could go out there and have a couple good matches together, and everybody's going to forget about this. So that's the glory of it. But again, what a show! AEW does take some abuse on this show from myself and from CZ, but I'm here to tell you I don't have a hat, but I'm tipping the hat to them. This was an amazing show. Very WrestleMania-esque, very SummerSlam-esque, big show feel. And it delivered, man. It delivered. It was a little bit over 4 hours to be expected. Somebody's gotten in somebody's ear in AEW and limited these matches, limited the time between. It was a beautiful thing. Great show. I'm looking forward to going back and watching it later.
For sure. Any final thoughts, Nick, or was that all you had?
I don't. I hope that us clamoring on here about this show for the last 90 minutes hasn't been too dreadful. I mean, we really enjoyed this show. It's a lot of fun to talk about. It's great when there's great wrestling out there. I'm going to do my part to try to cut the tribalism out on my end. I know I get tribalistic at times, but tribalism as a whole in wrestling is stupid.
Yes, I agree.
Great.
I completely agree.
It's great when there's competition. It's great when everybody can eat. It's great when everybody has the opportunity to put on a good show. And props to AEW today for stepping up and putting on a fantastic show.
And tribalism, not just on the big leagues with AEW and WWE. Tribalism on the independents as well. We have some of that here in our area with a couple of different promotions. I'm not going to name any names, but it shouldn't happen. Go out there and enjoy wrestling.
Agreed. Find what you like and enjoy it. And if somebody else doesn't like it, then that's too bad. Don't let them rain on your parade.
With that,
there was no rain on this parade. There was no rain on this parade. This show was excellent today.
And with that being said, I'm going to preview in the next couple of weeks for you guys. We've got a couple of different things going on. Next week, we will be coming to you on Saturday following Bash at Berlin. My partner, Never Wrong Nick Bull, has prior obligations on Sunday, so we are going to only review Bash in Berlin, and we're going to do that a little early. The following week is All Out. Nick is going to be in attendance in Chicago for All Out.
Yes, sir.
I am going to be in attendance in Ottumwa, Iowa for Bridge City Slam. I am sorry for all of my SCW Pro listeners. I got invited to Bridge City. And I get the privilege and the honor of meeting Big Papa Pump Scott Steiner, who was just announced today as part of the show.
You're gonna get that poster signed, aren't you?
I am. I got to take it. I got to get it signed. And I get to meet Buff Bagwell for the second time. Such a nice, genuine dude. I'm looking forward to that, and I'm looking forward to seeing Bridge City, and I'm excited for you going to All Out. I think we're going to come back that Sunday, and we're going to talk about our respective experiences.
For sure. And don't forget, last week we made the announcement of some new content coming your way from us here at Card Subject to Change. We'll have the debut date coming up soon for our additional show, which is the Kickout, the last word in wrestling. The Kickout, of course, will be little show, a little behind the curtain, a little shop talk, maybe stuff that didn't make this show. We'll stammer on for a few minutes about it, but that's coming up here in a few short days we'll announce the debut of the Kickout before too long, so you can set your calendars and watch accordingly. But look out for more content. This will be a little bit shorter content from your friends here at Card Subject to Change. I know CZ's looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to what it can turn into. Yeah, it's still Card Subject to Change. It's just a little supplemental episode, stuff we don't cover here, and we're hoping you like it. We're gonna give it a shot here in the coming weeks.
Yeah, I'm excited. Nick's excited, and I'm excited for the month of September too. We've got some big interviews coming up. People who are outside of our area, big names. I'm not going to announce anybody yet because we're still a couple weeks out from that. But I'm excited. We've got good content coming. We've got good things in the future for Card Subject to Change with the Kickout, the Final Word in Wrestling, as I like to lovingly call it, TKO. Think about it.
I heard you. I get it. I get it.
For my partner, Never Wrong, Nick Bull, I am the Wizard CZ. This is Card Subject to Change, the podcast by the fan, for the fan, powered by Lopez Pizza, built by Durham Remodeling, colored by Ryan Allison Tattoo, and of course protected by Jared Zook of Country Financial. That's going to wrap things up for this week. We will see you on Saturday live and on podcast platforms the next day. Thank you for tuning in and have a great rest of your week.